Welcome to Option Trades Today. I'm Tony the Baptiste, and I have a trade idea for you today, right from downtown Chicago, right here in the Bat Cave. It is May 16, 2024. But first, let's take a look at what the market's doing. Even the S&P's up $4.25, pretty much mid-range for the day. NASDAQ doing the same, up 26 and change. Market taking a breather after making these new highs in the even the S&P's and the NASDAQ. Russell down 10, hasn't made a new high yet. And the Dow up 85 in that 40,000 range. Amazing for the market. Volatility, on the other hand, underperforming. Well, doing exactly what you would expect it to do when the market goes higher. Volatility and fear go lower. Volatility unchanged at 1378. Bonds, after having a nice run above 118, 118.23 on the high, have come back a little bit to 117.30, just a tick or two below 118. But as you can see here, mid-range for most of the day. All right, or most of the recent move. All right, like I always do, let's go to our watch list. I like to go to the high option volume list. I like to have it set for my IVX 5-day change. I like to have IV. I also would like to set it by IV rank. You can just click on those to change them. Here it would be set up by IV rank from the lowest rank to the highest. I prefer it from the highest to the lowest. Also, I like to look at the IVX 5-day change from the highest to the lowest. And just to save you a little bit of time, RDDT is the stock I'll be looking at today. You can see here on the page of the IVX 5-day change, this is the implied volatility of Reddit when compared to itself, how it's done over the last 5 days. And you can see it's been expanding by 21% to get our IV rank up to 28.8, decent in this market, which I just showed you, volatility at lows and seemingly going lower as the market goes higher. So what am I looking to do here in Reddit? Well, I want to caution you a little bit. Markets are a little bit wide in Reddit. Let's take a look at it if we can. First, let's go to a chart of Reddit. You can tell here that the stock hasn't been around that long. It really only started about a month or two ago in March, and it's been going pretty much sideways with some decent move, low into the 40s, high into the 70s, sitting right around 57 and change. Let's call it mid-ranged also. Now, one thing I do want to show you here is typically we like to go around 45 days in the monthly options. That would bring us to June 21st with 36 days to go. And you'll notice here that the markets are 20 cents wide, 15 cents wide. Some of them get a little bit wider down here, 1 penny wide by 40 cents. If you change this in the money to volume, you'll notice that there's okay volume, not great volume, but it's decent. And if you change that volume to open interest, you'll notice that the open interest is pretty good for a new product. Not awesome, but good. The implied volatility is good, and the monthly IV is very good at 90%. Now, I'm showing you these markets because I want to show you when I do something that's going to take a lot more buying power than it normally would. Let me show you what I'm doing, and maybe we can demonstrate it from there. I'm just going to do a classic strangle, somewhere around the 20-ish delta on both sides. I'm going to sell the 50 put and the 75 call. You'll notice that the delta on the put is around 26. The delta on the call is around 23. Brings us to about 2 long deltas. That's about as delta neutral as you can get. My pop is 65%. That's awesome. That's where I want it to be, 65% or above. Remember, we're looking to put on this trade around 45 days in the monthly options, take it off around 21 days till expiration. So really, I'm looking at around 15-ish days to be on this trade. What I wanted to show you with this open interest that I put up here and the volume was if you look at the options that are closest to 43 days, and this illustrates it good because it's not a widely traded product, it's a new product. When you look at the open interest here, it's anemic. It's in the single handle or zeros, and the markets are much wider, $2, $1.50 wide, where we're looking at much tighter, better markets and more volume, more interest in the monthly options, and this is why I like to trade the monthly options. The theta decay in here is good at $13.60. My max profits, whatever I sold it for, hopefully you saw me trade this a little earlier on the follow tab, which I will show you in just a second. But I got filled at $4.51. Market's a little bit wide here on this. And then let me go to it right now before I keep it to you. Market's a little bit wide on this, but I try to do the price discovery for you. If you click here and go down to the follow page, you know I am Bob the Trader. I can't have my own name, but you can see my picture there. You'll notice at Reddit, I did this earlier this morning at 10:10. You can see this trade in real time. I say here, we do the price discovery so you don't have to. Strangle with a 65% pop. High IVR, that's the rank up here on the left. That's volatility compared to itself. And a high IV stock, that's just the monthly implied volatility. I got filled at $4.51. You'll notice that I did this trade when the stock was trading $58.14. Stock's gone down a little bit to $57.25. And even though that this trade has a little bit of, well, neutral-ish delta, volatility may have contracted ever so slightly. But what you could look at here is what you would expect to get filled. I would expect you to get filled around this $4.51, maybe $4.49, somewhere around this price if the stock is around the same price that I did on. And then you can extrapolate out and move your price up or down depending on what the stock is doing when you see this alert on your podcast that you watch me on YouTube, or you go to the Tasty Live platform and see it there, or you're already a Tasty Trade customer and you see it in the follow page. All right, the one thing I do want to bring up to you here is, I hope you noticed it, the buying power. Buying power is $4,755. Now, usually on a sub $60 stock, the buying power would be closer to $1,200. Why is it so high here? Well, the stock is hard to borrow. That means the, excuse me, that means the clearing firm, not the brokerage firm, but the clearing firm has a hard time locating stock. So you're basically having no margin on this stock. Usually be around $1,200 in a margin account. It's reflecting the buying power that you would have to use in, say, an IRA account. Yes, you can do this trade in Tasty Trade, in an IRA account. Yes, you can sell naked calls in an IRA account at Tasty Trade. I don't think you can do it at the brokerage firm you may be at, but you certainly can do it at Tasty Trade as long as you have $4,755 in your account. So that's going to make the return on capital not quite as advantageous as if it was a $1,200 stock. $1,200 in buying power, but still a good $451 on $4,700 in buying power. I would, for the reason of the buying power and the wider markets, I would look to reduce my size on this type of trade. So, maybe it's a 1-contract trade for you if you're a 3-contract trader, or maybe it's a 2-contract trade if you're a 5 or 10 lot trader under normal circumstances. So again, reduce your size, keep your probably profit around 65%. That's what I like to see. Delta neutral, I'm going to let the stock try to beat me. You can see my break evens here are just below 80 and just above 45, giving me a nice wide range, again, because the implied volatility is 90 and volatility is going a lot higher. All right, you know what I'm going to ask you to do now? I'm going to ask you to help us keep the lights on here. And you know what? Help me keep my podcast free for you and everything we do at Tasty Live. You can do that, and the only way we can do it is if you bring your account to Tasty Trade, or you open up a new account, or you move an account. We'll even pay you up to $4,000 depending on how big your account is. If it's smaller than that, we'll give you other incentives plus other dollars too. Check that out at tastytrade.com and move your account now while you still can.